No, that's totally fine. Totally understandable. I get it. Just a random person wondering like, "Hey, can I ask you some questions?"
Yeah.
And I feel like a bunch of people are always interested in like content or that kind of stuff, so that's totally normal. For me, I just really wanted to be able to learn from other people and have a better understanding of kind of the background and psychology really of being an owner. I feel like in general, owning a gym, even out of all things, is a psychology loop that people really miss.
Yeah, it is. It is huge because I think a lot of people think it's like the natural pathway. What I mean by that is like you're into fitness, you become a personal trainer or a coach, and then the
Yeah.
next thing you're supposed to do is own a gym. That's, you think it's vertically integrated, but it's not. It's not technically at all. There is some kind of crossovers. There is cross pollination. There is, some kind of connection to it, but it is two totally different business models, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
completely two different psychology models, and you're dealing with a lot of different things, right? So that being said, I don't always recommend everybody to take that particular path. Those that have interested in it, it depends on what their interest is in it. But like when it comes to owning a gym, a lot of us think that it has to do with, expanding your business as a coach, right? Or expanding your business as a personal trainer or something in the fitness space. That's not always the case. The reason why I say it's not always the case is that there is people that want because when you own a facility and you expand out and you have like the real estate side of things, you're dealing with a lot of maintenance work, you're dealing with a lot of back end work. And if you are building out a really robust and nice like coaching program, you don't need it. You don't need to deal with that particular one. It's not that much that you save. The cost analysis of it, and it doesn't really change that much. The only thing that does work is like if you are building a program that has a massive amount of footprints of students, and then you're running them through like a youth sports program or some kind of school or something like that. Outside of that, it's not always the most advantageous thing. It's two different businesses. And so if a particular coach or trainer or anything like that is looking to be a gym owner and they understand it as the business model itself and they like that, I do recommend it and I do encourage people to do so. But I also kind of draw the line and say it is two different types of businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you know that going in when you decided to like first get your own place? If I understand correctly from what I've read online, you started like with your own facility and everything right before COVID hit.
Yeah. So for us, it's slightly different. I will be 100% transparent. The business of us getting into it was not my idea. This was a passion project for me and my wife, our girlfriend at the time, and she wanted to run a gym. She wanted to run a physical brick and mortar. I am and still am in the online marketing space. I do marketing for muscle supplements, fitness, things of that nature, health and beauty. So I've always been in like either muscle supplements, vitamins, now into even peptides, like all these different categories when it comes to health and fitness. But I've always been in the online space. So I've always done the marketing on it. And so when she wanted to do a brick and mortar, a physical location, that's when I kind of like, okay, well, let's figure this out or let's kind of dive into it. It wasn't my first choice. Now, where it became a good choice for me and where it kind of matched up is I like commercial real estate. So I dabble into commercial real estate. And so one of the things I was even looking at is how to like have you ever seen like a Solus salon or Phoenix salon where they rent out rooms for hairstylists and so forth like that. So barber shops, tattoo shops, nail salons. That's what I kind of business that I've grown up around and understanding that you're renting out space, right? So you create a kind of a WeWork environment, right? And you kind of section it off and you're able to rent it out to up and coming, like let's say, for instance, business owners or entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got into the gyms business.
Mm.
The gym itself, which is originally part of a franchise by the name of Self-Made Training Facility, our business model was to create a gym or environment so that young entrepreneurs that are coming out as personal trainers can rent the space from us and run their business. Right. So it was more of a commercial real estate play and how you're renting and subleasing. That was more of that business model for that particular gym. Where it allowed me to kind of pursue my passion is it allowed us to mentor a lot of young entrepreneurs to grow and build their business. And so that was one of my things, because my mentor taught me how to, run businesses, and he has mentored me for multiple years and over a decade now. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would be at the place I am now for the trajectory that I'd be at now. Now, don't get me wrong, any mentor that comes and brings items to you, they're giving you the knowledge, they're giving you the ideas, they're helping you with them, they're giving you the support. You're still responsible for the execution. So I totally understand that. But, part of my execution was finding great mentors. And so that's why I provided a space that, twice, 2 to 3 times a week. Also, the trainers or the coaches have access to me one-on-one if they like to book it. And we have courses. Now, if there's a trainer there, these courses and these mentorship classes is not any extra charge to them, that people that are renting out of are building their business throughout our facility. This is something that we provide and we support them with. So it allows me to kind of, pay it forward. But not only that, part of it too is it's something that, like, when I ask my mentor, how I can repay him or what can I do to give it back to him, right? His simple answer was just pay it forward. Like, do it for others, right? Help somebody else that would need it with no questions asked, right? And so this is kind of an ongoing thing that, like, he's given me or helped me with creating a skill and understanding how to navigate through the entrepreneurship side. And from that, it's us kind of passing this along and providing it to a lot of other trainers and coaches that are starting their business. Right. That's one. And then that's from my side, but also giving the opportunity for a lot of these personal trainers and coaches that's coming from big box gyms. A lot of times these coaches that come from big box gyms, they're getting paid a salary, minimum wage, and they get paid for every session that, like, a client books with the big box gym. They might be charging $100, $120 or something like that. But the trainer themselves is only getting approximately less than 10%, because they get like $10 to $15 per session. So they get the minimum wage. So let's say, for instance, $15 an hour. And then on top of that, they get $15 for that particular session. So they made $30 for that particular session. That's if you're a top tier trainer. Lower tier trainers are typically, like, I think, at $10 per session or $5 to $10 per session. So with that being said, the club itself is making $120, but they're paying out about like $30, right? Now, for trainers, and so a lot of these personal trainers and a lot of these coaches, they're great trainers. They know how to do that. They don't know how to run the back end and market, run a business, do all these other things. And so that's where, working with and partnering up with a facility like us gives them that, right? Because we can help them kind of navigate through the back end on those particular things and create those processes and support, and those systems in place. And so with that being said, that's kind of like how, it all came into fruition, and kind of like just kind of grown from there. We take pride in our facility. I think we've been voted the best gym in Long Beach 5 years straight now.
I saw. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, and it's just, the thing with it is like, I think this comes back from, so I don't know if you can see my background, but my wife, she's an artist. She's all about design, all that stuff, right? So that's one thing that helped. And the second part is my in a previous life, in my background, I come from the nightlife industry, right? So doing nightclubs and living in Las Vegas, there's a aesthetic that like comes with that. So you're always looking for these aesthetic type of things, the cleanliness and all that stuff too, as well. So, we're always focused on those particular things. And so as we're building our gyms and so forth, and we're expanding it out, we're focusing on those things and we get like this club feel of all these different things. Right. And so we build it out, and make sure it's clean, it's nice, and it has all those things. You see my son in the background.
Yeah, I'm sure having kids and everything really teaches you how to keep things clean.
Or it's not sure.
Yeah. And so, with that, it's just, we've had an amazing time with it.
Do you mind me asking what helped you really push through even the hardest moments that kept your family still as like your reason from all that I've seen online?
It's seriously, it's just, so here's a pro and con about entrepreneurs or business owners. Like, even if somebody asked me, would you recommend me to be an entrepreneur or a business owner? I typically would say no. Like, I would be like, at one point in my life, I would sit there and say everybody should be an entrepreneur. And then after a while, I'm like, no, I don't think everybody should. Right.
Yeah.
Reason being is there's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pros and cons, and there is all these obstacles that happen every single day. And there is this high level of stress and pressure. What I figured out was my personality. One is I obsess over things. I obsess to the point where it's no ands, it's or buts, and I just need to get it done. Right. That's one thing. And so I'm always constantly pushing through. And then I also figured out about myself that I work well under pressure, under massive amount of pressure, because then I'm not overthinking things. I'm not over, analyzing things. I'm not procrastinating. So what I've done as a business owner is I've applied and I mimic that pressure and stress in certain ways. So I structure how my businesses run for that. So then I can make quick and fast decisions, right? Without procrastination. This is what really pushed me and helped me kind of get through a lot of the obstacles, because at the end of the day, it was purely just the question of, do you want to do this or not? If you're going to do this, you have to go all in. If you don't want to do this, then you have to call it quits. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And so why I spoke about my personality with it is a lot of times, and here's the truth, right? And I tell my mentees, my brothers, and my friends all this all the time. I go out and research and learn about a lot of things, so I know I don't want to do it. Or else my mind will always sit there and say, oh, that's a great business. Why aren't we in there? Right? Oh, that's a great business. Why aren't we testing that one out? Well, that's a great idea. Does that make money? Does that do this? Right? You don't know. And so with those little things, it's kind of really difficult to because everybody gets, the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So they always see that. And so they get confused a lot, right? And so they're always looking for the next shiny thing. For me, it's like I go out there and I research a bunch of things. I actually even sometimes test it with small budgets. And that's because when I do that, then I know I don't want to do that. Right? If it doesn't hit my checklist, I don't want to do it, because the reason why is I know my personality. The moment that I want something, I'm going to go all in. And so that's the same thing with the gym. So what happened with the gym was we signed the lease agreement. We went around searching for it. We signed the lease agreement on I believe it was December of 2020. And so December 2020, or November 2020, and then we went to go do our We went on vacation. I went back to Vietnam with my wife. Then we went to Italy and did all this stuff. And as we're in Italy in January, February-ish, we get the news that everything is shutting down. So we went to Italy during COVID. Everything was shut down over there. We came back. We caught back right in time because right when we got back, they shut down the airports. And so we go in and we sign the lease. And I had the opportunity to get out of the lease. And this was a 7 to 10 year lease. Get out of the lease or move forward. And because of, our decision making and understanding and all that research that I did before about gyms, before I got into it, I was already sold. I wanted to move forward. And so we pushed through. We pushed through several different things of I think we couldn't build or do construction until 6 months later. So we were dealing with things left and right every single day. When I say every single day, I mean, we had people shutting us down, people switching things up. We were opening and closing our businesses and, with dealing with even my other businesses, because I have a warehouse, shipping, logistics, and all that stuff during COVID. And we were looking at this particular business as the gym. And we're like, you know what? This is still what's its purpose is still really relevant. Would I do this regardless if, COVID was around or anything like that? And so the answer was always yes. And the other part was I wanted to build something where my kids and my family would be proud of. And so we never really got into the brick and mortar business. And so this is easier to also grasp and understand. So as we were doing that, I just kept pushing forward. Right. And the psychology of it was just more so of there was no ands or buts. Right. So there was no other option. And so we just moved forward every single time. Right. I'm pretty sure if you took a room of 10 people, 9 people would have called me crazy and 9 people would have got me and would have got out. One person maybe would have stuck through it. Even my business partners, I think my business partners at the time and my mentor and several of them, they were telling me, they're like, we've never been to a gym in my whole life. I don't really go to gyms. I go to spas. I go to this. It's why do you want to build a gym business? Why do you want to build this? I don't see the money in it. All those different things, right? And even with those things being said, we still pushed through because we believed in it. Now, fast forward 5 years later, my business partners are part of it. I have business partners are that because there's other things in the gym business. I think you and I are in a particular group that I think it was started by one of my old mentors, actually. The navigation, the co-host of that particular chat, she used to work for one of my old mentors. I call him a brother. And it was amazing because me and him were not even in the gym business together. We did not know. And then we were just doing, I worked for him in the financial markets for lead generation and marketing. And when I got the gym, how we reconnected, we've always talked, but we reconnected on business through this, is his brother works for a large supplement company, muscle supplement company. And so that's what pulled him back into that. And then they started doing marketing for it. And so that expanded and all these different things, right? And so those were some of the connections where people were just kind of coming around and understanding and coming into the fitness space. Everybody wants to be healthy. Nobody is going to sit there and not focus on their health, right? It just depends on the I guess your where you're at in life is how important the health part is going to be to you, right? So don't get me wrong, there was nights where I overthink things, but during the day there's not a time where I slow down, if that makes sense. I never stopped at one particular thing and just it was more of here's my task of things to do today. I have to finish it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really relates back to what you said in that mindset and that personality of like being able to overcome all of those things. And I can see, like, especially in your videos, how you talk a lot about like the passion versus obligation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's one habit or mindset that you still have to fight every day to keep a passion instead of an obligation?
Not necessarily that. So the one thing that, I would put out there is there was this, okay, so when I was growing up, I was taught, and I had this, was the phrase, a man of my word, right? So a man of my word is whatever I say, I will do, right? And so a lot of times having that kind of instilled in me at a younger age, growing up, I always did things to the fullest. If I said I was going to do something, I'm going to do it. And so I would push through. Now, as getting older and understanding, even in business and even like in life and everything like that, what you start to realize is that some things, a lot of individuals, because that the way that they're grown up, it's like what got you here won't get you there type of thing, right? I love that book. And so what I mean by that is you have sunken cost. You'll commit to something and you will literally drive that thing to the ground, even though you saw the red flags early on. It's just like this weird obsession and it pushes through. And I've seen this and I've done this myself. And this is from personal experience. And this happens in people. This happens and this is like a perfect example. It's like someone that you're trying to help. And they're they're not listening to you, they're not doing all this stuff, but you still reach out every single day because you have this sunken cost, you have this investment, or even like friends from high school. We've known each other for so long, we go way back. I'm like, but that's like 20, 30 years ago, right? Do you guys still have the same interests? Do you guys still have the same kind of goals? Do you guys even know the same people? Like, and a lot of times, sometimes people are blessed. Don't get me wrong. People are blessed when they do have those types of friends. But majority, they're not. I mean, because why? Because, right now, that's what, 30 years ago for me, you know? So you're talking about, you know, did I change in 30 years? Of course I did, right? Am I going to have different interests? Of course I will. And so it has nothing to do with like, oh, I've known them for 30 years. Do you still have the same interest? So where I get to that is this is what I was taught now is where when you see certain things and it's no longer in your passion and it's no longer your purpose, you have the right to recommit. But it has to be something that is established and made clear, right? It's not quitting because it's different. Because quitting is to me, when you're quitting something, is you still see value in it, right? But you just don't want to do it because you don't want to deal with the different parts of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I believe of quitting. Recommitting is different to me. Recommitting is if I clearly don't like something anymore. Let's say, for instance, I like I don't know, some kind of childhood. The funny thing is like a lot of food that we eat from childhood, I don't prefer anymore, right? Even like ice cream. Some of them, I don't even know why we ate those types of ice creams when we were younger. We liked it. But it's not like I'm going to still keep eating it now. It's just because I liked it then, right? So the whole thing is I need to sit there and say, I don't like that anymore, right? Recommit it. This is not in line with where I want to go. I've outgrown this. And that's the recommitment part of it, right? And so I think that's where a lot of individuals are kind of struggling with it because they can't tell the difference or they can't distinguish the difference between quitting and recommitting.
Mm.
And then some people also can't tell the difference or distinguish the difference between being like true to your word, like why you should be true to your word, and I guess the word that they would call it is like changing paths or reevaluating my navigation. And I'm like, they're two different things. And a lot of now people in business, they kind of use it or they'll switch back and forth when it's beneficial for them. Right. And so that's where there's a clear distinction for me. And I see the distinction. And it is very, and part of it too, it's not all in my head. What I mean by that, when I see a clear distinction, whoever I'm doing business with, whoever I'm talking to, I will tell them the reasons why. I'll communicate that. It all boils down to communication. And I'll let them know, like, hey, this is a reason why I would like to recommit to this, or like, I don't want to recommit to this, or I want to change the path because I don't see the value of what it does. Things have changed, right? We used to have businesses in technology. We used to build a lot of backends. We used to do a lot of stuff like that. You can do that with AI now. And you can do that with in hours with AI, which we used to do in like months.
Yeah.
So am I going to keep on going down that path and have that sunken cost in that particular business? No, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to use some of the same individuals, same partners to kind of pivot with. Is why? Because their knowledge base is just going to grow. You know what I mean? So they're going to know how to teach AI, and they're going to know how to teach all those things too. So, yeah, and that particular part of it, it's understanding yourself and really knowing what your true purpose is. And if your true purpose cannot carry on past chapters of your life, I think I would always keep on trying to figure out what my purpose is. Right. Yeah, because I think for me, and I think every entrepreneur, every business owner goes through these cycles. I think you're always looking for, when you're younger, in your early 20s, you're looking for money. That's your main purpose is money. How am I going to make money? How am I going to make this? And this purpose typically in the chapters like prestige, get recognition. How do I get name? How do I get, and they call it, and I've done this, and I'm not saying I include myself. We then look at it as legacy. We confuse prestige and making a name and titles for legacy, and that's not. And that's my understanding, right? And then so how I started to understand it was, I was like, okay, is my title legacy? If you're fired from your job or you leave your job, someone else is going to take that title. So then there's no legacy. No one remembers that you were in that title. Yeah. So then I started to understand, okay, how is my legacy? That, right? And if that's the purpose, to leave a legacy, what is that? And I think that's where I started to understand my legacy is the memories of what people remember me as, right? So I first started with the folks that I love, and that's going to be my mom and my sister, right? The unconditional love. My father is there too, but I mean, my unconditional love and my real main purpose was my mom and my sister, and that was my first. And so, still to this day, I have a great relationship with my sister. I pretty much raised her, but we're like best friends. Right. So our families go on vacations together. Our family sees each other, at least I go to Vegas to see her. She comes over here at least once a month. So we have the kids at least 2 weekends in a row or something, or not 2 weeks in a row, but at least 2 weekends out of the month, stuff like that. But, I do that on a regular basis. I talk to my mom every single morning before I go to work, have those conversations in the car. And so that was my purpose. Right. That was my first purpose. And when I started to make that decision, everything that I did in business, it just kind of supported that and pushed that too. Then my second, when I started to get to it and I met my wife and started having my family, that became the primary purpose, which is for my kids, my family. So my wife first, then my kids, obviously. And then, so everything that I do surrounds about that. So even when I opened businesses, I opened up a soccer facility because with the intentions of like, hey, what if your kids want to go into soccer later on, then, and that was for my niece. So she's training out of that facility. So that helped out a business. We're all in health and fitness. So we always love to expand on the gym side. Even like one of the things I started to go down lately and wanted to learn in the last 6 months. And I just like, went fully engulfed in is the day trading as well, is trying to understand financial literacy, well, more about financial literacy. I'm always learning about financial literacy, and then just understanding like, financial freedom, all that stuff, and learning, expanding on those things, because I've done really, really well. But also with the test of times, new things always come up, AI, all that stuff. So I'm always trying to learn new things, and I thirst of knowledge. And because of that, I'm looking forward to learn things, not just for me, but to teach my son and my daughter. Because if I can understand something in and out, then I have the ability to teach them or coach them and share that knowledge. And that's purely my purpose. So anytime I go into something and I think of it and I'm like, and that's, so it helps with my decision making. If I'm learning about real estate, if I'm learning about stocks, if I'm learning about running a business or anything like that, the moment that I stop doing or learning about that is when I feel as though that business might not be around anymore when my son is older. That technology might not be around anymore when my son is is older, right? Because if I'm learning about it, what am I going to teach him? I'm not going to be relevant anymore. I'm not going to have a conversation with him anymore. It's not going to be relevant anymore, right? It's like my niece the other day, I made a comment and I said something, I was like, yeah. She pulled out a fanny pack, right? She's like, what do you use these for? And I was like, you can put stuff in there like your CD player. She's like, what's a CD player? Because she's never known what a CD player.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, to back to what I was trying to say is like, that's where it helps me to understand what is still relevant to me. Is because it always goes back to my purpose, right? If I can't share this with my son one day and my family, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Why am I going down the rabbit hole, and why am I doing all this stuff and spending extra time if it's not going to be something that I can expand on, or I can pass along, or I can, explain to in the business realm, right? It's even like the gym business, right? And owning a gym. It'd be nice to be, and I think I will, because I think the more that we expand, I can hand off a physical facility, down to my kids and stuff like that, right? And then physical, meaning real estate, homes and stuff. We can pass that along. Okay, that's the physical part. But working in the gym space, in the fitness space, there is that breadth, there's that vast knowledge in the industry that I can pass along as well. Right? Understanding all the ins and outs, all that stuff. Because we even have expanded our business right now, and like we've not just been in the gym space. We're also like, now I just started a company in the beginning of this year where we're the distributor for one of the, actually, I think it's the largest in the world and the top tier equipment company for worldwide. They're the biggest sponsors. I think we're flying out, we're going to fly out tomorrow to the Arnold Show Classic to present them. They're showcasing. We have the HFA show in about 2 weeks down in San Diego, and we're showcasing at that one as well. So this is a new realm for me, and so it's kind of exciting in understanding of it. But what I'm going to be able to pass along is my knowledge now in import export, working with foreigners, foreign countries, doing all that stuff as well. So traveling back to Italy, that's going to be great. That's one of the beauty of it. And so it aligns with what I'm looking for, right? So it aligns with my purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. And yeah, I saw some of the videos about all the wonderful work that you're doing, especially with like the Arnold coming up. I feel like is one of the biggest things a lot of people in the industry know about and look to. So that's incredible that you're making that kind of impact. What would you say is one piece of advice that you would give to other people who maybe are just like in this weird transition of wanting more, or these entrepreneurs that want to build a legacy, or, just be more at the higher end where you found yourself?
I think it goes back with the the thing of recommitment. And again, I explain this so there's two things that I always point out. One is guilt, and two, imposter syndrome. So one is guilt, is the guilt of you letting go of something, like you're quitting. So let's say, for instance, you go down, and here's a perfect example. I get this all the time. Coaches and trainers will get into their business, start doing it, and then they want to create merch. They create their shirts, they create stuff, they start selling it. Or they create an event and they start to like push the event, right? The event does well the very first time, some kind of boot camp, some kind of crazy event, and then they start selling merch. The very first time they do their drop, it does really well. The second time, they lose money. The third time, they lose money. And they're looking at it and they're like, well, I don't want to quit, right? If I stop doing this, then I'm quitting. And they feel that guilt. And my question to them all the time is, are you in the clothing business? Like, what do you do? If I asked you today, what do you do? You're gonna be like, I'm a personal trainer. I go, then why are you selling merch? Like, you could sell it, but why are you trying to make a business out of it?
Yeah.
Right. So like, if you're creating merch to give out to your clients, 100%, that's what I do all the time. Yeah. Right? Because you're building your brand as a personal trainer or as a coach. So you're pushing that. That's fine. But if you're trying to sell it to make a profit, you're not Lululemon, you're not Aloe, you're not all these other ones, and you're not, because what they do is they're focused on just clothing alone, right? And they're focused on that. So, but people and individuals, even myself, you feel guilty, the guilt of quitting, because you're like, oh, but I don't want to stop. I don't want to. I started this and I don't want to stop. And so I'm the way I'm trying to explain it to them, I'm like, I understand you feel the guilt of quitting, but you're not quitting. You're recommitting. You're stepping back and you're saying, am I somebody that makes clothes and does designs for clothing, or am I a coach, personal trainer, somebody in the fitness space? And so when you say that, you will clearly see that you're on this particular side. And then you go, okay, then you're not quitting making clothes. You're just saying, that's not my purpose. That's not my focus. And so I see a lot of personal trainers, business owners, they're looking for that shiny nickel, grass is greener on the red. I heard another gym owner say this, the lady in the red dress, right? Like little phrases like that. Basically, what you're doing is you're seeing everybody else doing something and you're trying to jump into multiple different things.
Yeah.
And every business owner that can, that is successful will always tell you, you need to focus and make sure that you're doing one thing really, really well. And it needs to overflow so much that it overflows into other things. If you're doing a bunch of little things, nothing's going to come into fruition. Yeah. So you really do one thing really, really well. The second part that I see, and I get this till today, and everybody will have this, and this is what's going to crush a lot of people. You will always, if you are growing, if you are always pushing yourself and you're learning and doing all these things and you're looking into being an entrepreneur, you're always going to have imposter syndrome at one point or another, right? You're always, because the thing is, you're never going to be comfortable, right? So you're always, every single time you open a new business or every single time you are a different chapter in your life, you're always growing. You're beating the boss. The boss at the end of the level, whatever you're beating, right? You're going to get into a different one and you're going to start all over again. So every single chapter in your life, you're constantly moving up. So every point that you're breaking this, you're going to feel anxiety, you're going to feel uncertainty. So there's going to be the imposter syndrome that kind of comes in, right? So you feel all this. Why I bring those out is because I want people to be familiarized with it. And the moment that you are familiar with it and you know it's going to happen and you plan for it, the anxiety is less. Right? If people don't know why they have anxiety, it's because your fight or flight mode is popping up because you're unprepared for whatever you're doing. That's what it is. And to fix it is really easy. Be prepared, right? It's unprepared gets your anxiety. Be prepared, your anxiety goes away, right? Now, it doesn't always go like 100%, but I'm just saying, trust me, if let's say, for instance, public speaking. Every single time you go public speaking, you get very nervous. Anxiety is through the roof. if you were talking and saying the same exact thing and you created a script and you said the same exact script every single time, I bet you anything, the 30th time, the anxiety is less than the very first time that you had anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's psychology. We know this for sure. So it gets better with repetition. And I bring those two up because that's what I feel as though a lot of people struggle with. Right? They have that they are thinking that they're quitting because they heard from social media and everything else that they should not take a loss and they shouldn't quit. Losers, I'm like, it's only quitting is it, like if you recommit and you understand, you establish that, it's not quitting. It's knowing that it's not for you. It's different, right? Yeah, those are the two. I think jokingly, the other thing that I did say, if someone asked me that too, is like, if you can give me the best advice, for yourself, what would that be? And I was like if I told myself, and she's like, yeah. I go, at 25, I thought I knew everything. At 35, I learned I knew nothing. And if you could understand that, that will fast track you a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you burn a lot of bridges when you think you know everything.
Yeah.
Burn a lot of bridges, and also you mess up a lot more. But yeah, so those are some of the items I would kind of, if someone asked me today of like what some advice is, those are the main ones that I still deal with, sometimes even struggle with daily, or every level of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely say, like, especially that last one, that would really point towards like why, especially in your position, you've really openly talked about mentors and the real relationships having the biggest factor in almost any win people could have. I would say that having a community and mentorship is basically the ultimate unfair advantage that people end up growing. What would you say is like the first step they need to take to find the mentorship that you seem to have found?
Oh, I would just ask. So I would go out there and have conversations with individuals, right?
Yeah.
The one thing you should be looking for in a mentor, I think this is where this is where we point. This is where I think, in my opinion, in my perspective, why a lot of people pick the wrong mentors. You're looking at what the mentor has, not what they provide. Right? So what I mean by that is a lot of people go to mentors because they go, oh, he has a nice car. He's successful. He's this. I want him to be my mentor. Right? The thing with it is that there's a problem. There's a true problem with it. Because if he doesn't think the way you think, his purpose is not aligned with your purpose, or his approach to things is not, it will never work.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look for a mentor, I'm looking for somebody that is strong in the beliefs and morals that I believe in.
Yeah.
So recently my brother, I call him a brother, he's my business partner, he's my mentor. I came to him first because I saw how he treated his family. I was working for him. We were in a business meeting at one point, and it was, I believe, 5:30, like 5 o'clock or something. It was close to 5 p.m. And he starts to pack up. We're in the middle of a meeting, just like this. He starts packing up. And he's like rushing out of the office. I'm sitting there with him, and I'm like, okay. So I'm starting to slowly gather my stuff because I'm like, okay, what's going on? I don't understand. So I'm getting my stuff, and I'm walking. He looks at me. He goes, walk with me. And he's the CEO. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk with you. Right? So I start walking with him, get in the elevator. I'm doing all this stuff. We're still having the meeting, all these different things. And we get to the parking lot. He's trying to finish it up. And he goes, do we need to still talk more about this? And I go, why, what's up? And he goes like, well, if so, I'll call you in the car. And then So I look at him, I go, no, I think we're done. We can finish up tomorrow. I'm pretty much we're just chit-chatting at this time. He's like, I can still call you on my call. And then I was like, no, I think we got all the main points. And I go, but before you go, is something wrong? Like, I just want to make sure, is everything wrong? And like anything wrong, or like, why are you rushing? Or, like, is the family okay? Was there emergency? He goes, no. He goes, my non-negotiable with my wife is I have to be home for dinner. My purpose in all things that I do is for my family. So family dinners is a non-negotiable. That's my purpose.
Wow.
So he didn't care about, like, our meeting was about our sales. We're a multi-million-dollar company. So it's not like, oh yeah, that meeting costs a lot, regardless of what it is, right? But it's still family first, right? It's the same thing. I recently took on another mentor about 6 to 8 months ago. And because I wanted to learn day trading and like really, really good into day trading. So I've been looking for these mentors. I've been trying to do it and find a mentor for the last like 2 years. Couldn't find one because they just didn't align. The one guy that made everything click for me is because when I went to go meet with him, what he said, he started off with first was, he goes, I do this. He goes, I just do this and I want to teach you how to do it so you can get more time back to your family. Other than that, the dollar amount doesn't matter. He goes, get the skill, teach it to your kids, get the skill, have more time with your kids. And that was his main thing. And he kept saying that over and over and over. And that's why everything clicks for me whenever he talks. Every single time he says something, it goes back to the purpose of why you're doing something.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, it goes back to that word legacy, because if I was to leave a legacy to my kids, it's the memories that I spent with them.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to do this whole quit your job and do all this stuff and just spend time with your kids. I mean, I would love that in the perfect world.
Yeah.
We don't have that liberty in this particular US. But what I mean by that is that if you're able to figure out ways, use your knowledge to kind of have some financial freedom, then in turn to spend time with your kids or your family, your loved ones, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Right? Because no one's going to know that you earned, like 5 years from now, my kids are not going to remember if I got a raise. 5 years from now, my kids are not going to remember if I made a new business or whatever it is. They're not going to remember that stuff. They're just going to remember, on my 5th birthday, was my dad there? What do we do? Like things like that. At my first, meet or competition, or, what day that, he remembers stuff like I show up at his practice or his swim class. That's what he remembers. He doesn't remember anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I think for me, when you're looking for a mentor, find it that their purpose matches up with your purpose. And don't look at what they have. Don't look for a mentor based on what they have. It's what they're about and what they're teaching. Because everybody's going to have, because if you're doing that, then you're going to get really, really tricked really easy. Everybody's going to have a nice car. Everybody's going to have a nice watch. And a lot of people are going to yell in your face, get you motivated. Motivation doesn't last that long.
Yeah, absolutely. Motivation is just a feeling. It's not what's going to outlast it, for sure. And I think that's exactly why, as like a psychologist of 10 years, I've really looked into community that has like value alignment. And I think a lot of people look for, where do our values align? And I think that's why I've been so interested in gym owners and helping them and building the community for them, because I feel like a lot of them usually, I find, have like a lot of deep rooted, like, I just want to help people. Like, I really just want them to, like my friends and my family and the community to really be healthy or be active. There's usually some kind of like alignment or value that's the same.
And that's what we teach a lot of our coaches and trainers, because because they're younger. Some of them are younger entrepreneurs, and they're starting out. And so it gets muddy, because you're trying to earn a living and then you're trying to help people that out there that are, they take advantage of you and all this other stuff. So that comes with the space. But what we're trying to explain to them all times, like, what you need to do is understand your purpose. If you're trying to help people, and you're
Mhm.
trying to do that, if that goes away,
Mhm.
no longer important to you, then you need to recommit. This is no longer the business that you should be in. But if that's still something that, that's great, don't look at everybody like a dollar amount, right? And so, like, just make it with ease, right? With AI is very good at ease. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say, for instance, I have a client that comes in and you're no longer my client. Let's say, what I mean by that is, like, you used to have sessions with me and then now you're no longer my client because you moved away. Let's say you moved away. And the beauty of technology and social media is all of us is connected. I go, if you were trying to help somebody and that's your whole thing, a simple text or a simple message, and you can sometimes do it mass. What I mean by that is, like, you can follow up with like 10 people at the same time. And you can just hit them up and say, hey, this weekend is great. Why don't you guys go out for a hike? Or how's your fitness journey? How's your health? What are you looking for? There's a new buzz about supplements and peptides and all that stuff. What do you guys know about it? And you're just starting conversations because you never know how that conversation is going to help somebody and how that's going to expand into something, right? And that's one thing that I'm always focused on is I find, and because of COVID, I think it happened a lot more and more prevalent. I've had some amazing friends and family find themselves in dark spots, dark places, because someone, like, they just didn't feel as though people were around. And the psychology of things, and they thought that it was, when you're in depression and when you're going down this rabbit hole or this dark hole, you think that there's no other solution when there's so much more. It's purpose in their head change, right? What I mean by that is I've had several people take their lives or, lost their lives due to money. When in reality, no one around them cared about anything about money. All they cared about was them being there, right? And so there's like this confusion of a lot of individuals. And so it's getting back to the human nature of things, of wanting to help in your own purpose. So let's say, for instance, a trainer loses that track and it goes over to money. I'm always reminding them, I'm like, hey, why'd you get into this? If that's no longer your purpose, you want to just make money, there's a lot of other things that you want to make money on. Being in fitness space is not the most fun things. You have to wake up super early. You have to give advice to every single person. You have to, everybody asks you about everything, and you got to listen to every single person's problems. It's being, it's funny because I think in the fitness space, they have like this new meme where, the personal trainer is like, yeah, I'm not just your personal trainer. I'm also, and then they changed the icon to like the doctor, the therapist, the best friend and all this other stuff, because that's what happened in a lot of businesses, especially like I tell fitness trainers all the time, I'm like, most people will come to you, most of your clients are going to come to you, and they will talk to you because they'll open up, and it's like either they're going to open up to a bartender or they're going to open up to a personal trainer. It's just strange, but those are the two because they find themselves in the most vulnerable spot. If they're drinking, they're vulnerable. If they're working out and they're sweating and they don't look the greatest, they're vulnerable. So they just start, it just allows it to open up. And I was like, you're going to hear it. So if you're not wanting to, you're not creating relationships with them, yeah, you're not in the right business.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to do something more just on the computer or day trade.
And that's the thing of it, and day trading is I only like it because I created a community. It's funny. I have a freaking community of day traders that I built myself up amongst me and my friends, and we talk the whole time, right? If we didn't, and I was just sitting by myself staring at the freaking thing, I don't know if I want to do that, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm it's really weird because I'm an extrovert and an introvert at the same time, but I believe that in everything that we do, we need human interaction. We need camaraderie. We need the people to share the journey with, right? If you don't, then I really don't. Even if you're an introvert, you still need to share it. So I still see it on both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that community aspect and the purpose, all of that all comes back around. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me and really explain all of your points of view and where you're coming from and how you got where you are. I think that that's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any questions for me or concerns? I know that you were like very hesitant about coming on or like talking to me about all of it.
Well, I didn't. So I think it was because I get hit up a lot.
Okay.
And so if it's a natural conversation like
Yeah.
this, I was all for it. So I do podcasts and I have conversations. People do interviews with me all the time. I'm 100% for it because again, if I wasn't speaking to you, I'd be speaking to somebody else. This is exactly what we're doing, is what I
Okay.
actually tell trainers and coaches and people to do when they don't know what they want to do. If they're stuck in a place, business is low, let's say for instance, economy is low, business is low, whatever it is, it's downturn. I always tell people what you want to do. Don't get in a room and try to like figure out some crunching numbers. You could do that one day, but don't do it every single day. I need you to go out there, talk to people,
Yeah.
reach out to other people, get coffee with other people, your friends, your family, all that stuff. And it doesn't have to be in the same space. Right. The reality of what you're trying to see is you need to see if what your belief is that the economy is down or all this trouble, is that true? Is that an absolute? And if you take it to be true, then you don't have any other choice. But what I mean by that is if I go talk to multiple different people and this person says, I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's not horrible. Then you go over here, well, these businesses in AI are booming. And then you go over to another section and they go, well, yeah, it kind of dipped, but we're rebounding right now. Right. And you're getting all these like different kind of perspectives. Then your belief system is not an absolute, right? It doesn't change your position or doesn't change your situation, but it gives you a little bit more a bigger picture and it gives you more hope and also it allows you to expand. So with that being said, I make it upon myself to always reach out and have conversations like this, share, people ask questions and all that stuff. And I love to do so. I even encourage other people to do it regardless of size, space, whatever. It's just having a natural conversation is great. You know, I always encourage that. It's just sometimes we'll get sold or we get, like asked for something else. So like, I just wanted to ensure that was it just like a natural conversation? Was I going to be, was this kind of something for your personal, or was this like an interview or like research and development for something else? Right.
Right.
So those is just my question. But if you're looking for just to grab some, general combo, insight, understanding more about the gym owner side, all for it. Because I think I don't always believe I'm a typical gym owner. But again, I don't know. I don't even know what a typical gym owner is because I've met so many of them and not anybody is the same, to be honest with you.
Yeah, normal just means common, not actually this is what everybody believes.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, like in the very beginning, I thought, like even my perspective, I thought gym owners need to be bodybuilders and this is how they always look, and they're always the best of their craft, all that stuff. I started to come into the space. That's far from it.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to sit there and say how many people, were in the fitness space and, like XYZ, but all that side, yeah, I think it wouldn't be any kind of, it's all over the board, right? And that's the beauty of it. Actually, there's such beauty in that because the fact is that people come from different aspects and I just love that. And it allows to open a lot of doors, meaning a gym owner of whatever it is doesn't need to be a bodybuilder. It's just like fitness, Planet Fitness, Fitness 19, like all the owners they're not bodybuilders or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. And hopefully maybe we can have another conversation. I think that the conversations around like purpose and meaning and community, all of that, especially with the legacy layer, it can just be a lot to tackle in an hour.
Yes, of course. And, and thank you for going through and sticking with it as I go through my process. But each one, you can't catch it within an hour. I don't even understand it all. And I've already spent 40 something years of my life trying to understand it. So it can't be unraveled in an hour, no matter what. I don't see that. And even as the more that I'm talking it out to you every single time, or I have a conversation, I'm learning more about stuff. So it always evolves. It always changes. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing about, and I love the fact that like you're focusing, if business owners, any kind of high level kind of business, or I guess money making skill or something like that, so day trading, entrepreneurship, business owners, any one of those, psychology plays such a big part. It's probably the most, like, I want to say, sleeping giant of the industry that people just don't understand.
Yeah.
The emotional intelligence that needs to be added to all this stuff and the psychology behind it. Like, if you don't understand yourself, you will have a very hard time in business. If you don't know why you made a decision and you don't know how you came up with that decision,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not, then if you don't know it, then it won't be, you can't replicate it. So then now your business decisions would be 50-50. It's like flipping a coin.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I don't make decisions that way. My decisions, it goes back to my purpose. So if it doesn't align with my purpose, I won't go that route. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm no longer flipping a coin. So everything aligns with all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, psychology is just something people really miss the mark on. Cool. Well, thank you again, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.